বাপ্পা
I only suggested
বলছি এই অ্যাঙ্গেলে ঠিক আছে তো?
আমার coming expert.
একটু সোজা হয়ে বসবেন আপনি।
এরকম ভাবে বসবো?
হ্যাঁ।
তাহলে হ্যাঁ স্যার এই যে
দু ভাই Krishna Professor has told that apart from these things, anybody can ask question also afterwards.
Okay. So should I cover all the 5 questions?
He is the principal of pharmacy. Now they are introducing pharma management. Managerial course in the
So we are really honored to have you amongst us today with wide-scale industry exposure as well as exposure in the academic field. So this is something we would like to know, like in this particular era of digital transformation and automation through the use of artificial intelligence, a lot of change has come about in the way operations management operates in the industry. How do you think this change will be impacting the society as a whole?
This is a very relevant, the question you have raised. Now, we have used the 2 terms, in fact. One is automation,
Yes, sir.
and the second one is artificial intelligence,
Right, sir.
and the third one is, a particular subject you have mentioned, that is operations management. Now, obviously, artificial intelligence, it's not a new concept. Everybody knows, in fact. It's a part of the DSS, Decision Support System.
Right, sir.
And automation is also is not a new concept at all. Now, the question is that we all know that automation is desirable in a specific conditions. One of those days that when you impose that automated system on a manufacturing system, or you make it automated. Now, if you go through the literature, if you go through the case studies, is it okay? Several case studies across the world, industrial, an application of automation in industries, that we are actually bothering about. Now, what you find, that the first thing, there is a classification of automation. Like it's a hard automation, like a typical chemical plant. It's a hard automation. It's known to everyone. The second one, other extremes, when you talk about NC, CNC machines and all those FMS, we are basically referring to programmable automation. And in between, you have a flexible automation. So, whenever, we say that this is the course we are teaching, say operations management. There are topics, against each topic there are tools and techniques, and against whenever you use certain tools and techniques, there are certain decisions to be made, that means related to certain problems. Certain problems, you say that yes, these problems, the solution, is it okay? You may get the solution, you can wait for 1 month. Certain solutions, cannot be awaited. Getting my point. So, today what has happened, that you have to take a decision immediately, mainly it's online real-time control. Now, obviously, artificial intelligence can be used. There is no doubt about it, but you have to be very, very specific for which kind of problem artificial intelligence is to be used. This is another one, and what kind of automation. Usually you will find these days, they do not classify. Is it okay? It's not that the automation is applicable everywhere. Whenever you talk about any systems, the interfacing, you are working with an FMS or any machine tool. Is it okay? That's the workplace. So there is a labor component everywhere. There is a mechanization component, there is an automation component, there is also computer related component. So now, depending on the type of problems you need to deal with, what will be its proportion? Is it okay? So this is, so the AI, the details are already there in fact. So now, as soon as you get, a book on, textbooks on AI, okay, immediately its applicability will be known, and can you relate it to the problems of the operations management. So these details must be known. In general, you cannot explain it. It doesn't have any meaning.
Specific.
Point. So I hope that when you offer a course on AI, okay, so and on AI you apply. Okay, so these are the problems coming under the domain of AI. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Any other
No, sir.
related?
Perfect.
These are very relevant questions in today's context.
Start learning.
Okay.
So the second thing that I would like to know, online education has brought about a paradigm shift in the way the teaching learning process is taking place in today's era. So how do you visualize this change?
Okay, this is a very relevant question in fact. Just, when this COVID-19 started, okay, across the world, for any type of program, okay, just to maintain continuity, we introduced this online, say, education system, online, even at the B.Tech level. I don't know whether it was introduced at the primary level or not. Is it okay? Or say the higher secondary level or secondary level? I do not know. Okay. Now, we continued for about the 5 semesters or 4 semesters continuously. Then I'll tell you, when we introduce the course, I feel like something is missing. Similarly, the students on the other side, he or she feels something is missing. What is that? This learning. And I always interact with the students. I interact with them all the time, okay, all through my career. So I started asking them, can you just tell me what is its impact? And you will not, you may not believe me, in fact, many of the students at the UG level, they are saying, sir, we are not learning anything. This is point number 1. That means you must know, is it okay? Now, does it mean that online, say, the learning process you will discard? Definitely not. The question is, for whom? That is very important. Obviously, at the UG level, at the PG level, you cannot. Why? Because you are not sure that at that point in time, whether a person's the maturity level is there or not. Is it okay? So easy way out, and you will find 100 such cases. Okay, I am getting 95% marks, or 90, or say 85% marks, and while you assess, you will find there is either not type 1 error, type 2 error. The implication of type 2 error. So we have observed, and now another thing is, when they join the teaching learning process, right, who are getting advantages, right? Some of the students, is it okay? Now they want to act smart. Some of the teachers, they also want to act smart. Getting my point? They don't want to, expose their knowledge in front of the students, with the level of knowledge. Vis-a-vis a particular subject. This is one part. And the second part is, there are students, I don't know, means ultimately they will suffer in their life. Is it okay? They want to, the whole situation is, that the CGPA system is closely linked with their CGPA system. We all know the CGPA system. Is there any science behind it, CGPA? What is the science? Whether the weightage is 3 or 4 or 2 or 1, what is? Okay, so today I'm telling you, many students may prefer, but ultimately it is like, the penny wise, pound foolish. Is it okay? So today we have went back face to face. I also want to know, when I teach a subject, a topic, what is his facial expression, how many questions I allow him or her to ask, any number of questions, so that is missing. But then online, the teaching, like you know that NPTEL course, MOOCs course.
Yeah.
So there are 4 courses in my name. It's going on in fact last 7-8 years in fact. So that is for the distance education, it's possible. Another thing is, like say, if you want to conduct a program for the motivated persons, like industry professionals. Suppose the industry professionals, they want to join your program. Is it okay? Some training program, workshops and all, right? And obviously, even if it is an online mode, I always assume that they are highly motivated. They want to learn. So that risk is there. So I do not recommend online teaching for, for the B.Tech students, even UG students. They will suffer later on. Getting my point. The classroom. I know that today what has happened, that our main problem is, the number of students. Number of students is growing. Is it okay? Like say the class size maybe 250, 230 or say 60, 70 like this. Okay. It's a very common occurrence. So already, what has happened, a student is missing, that individual attention. We used to be 1-to-1. Today it has become 1-to-many. And plus, suppose we introduce this, that is from other places. Okay, then you can join the class. Ultimately, the risk is very high. Risk is type 2 errors. Is it okay? Similarly, the type 1 error also. Is it okay? Yes, you may be influenced by, the type 2 error. Majority of the students, they are getting high marks. But whereas a good student, he is not getting recognition. In all likelihood, he may get less marks. Now, the question is raised that suppose I hold a class or I conduct a educational, or say I have one educational institute to organize, to learn. Now, for whom actually you have created these educational systems? Actually, I must be able to recognize the brilliant minds. Is it okay? Out of a class size of 50, at least the 5 students are brilliant. Come whatever may, I must not allow them. I must recognize them. That's why the education system is created. You're getting my point? This is also one of the reasons many institutes, the good students they leave. How to retain the good students? Okay, so what are the ways you can use? So usually, impact is in general negative. Unless the person concerned on the other side, is in a learning mode, he is highly motivated, intrinsically motivated. Getting my point?
Yes.
This we have observed in fact, and that's why you find that today, the habit is the second nature. What has happened, that 4 consecutive, these sessions, online mode, all the students attended. And in the 5th semester, they are asked to join the, be there physically present. You will find, it's not like home sweet home. They don't feel like coming out from their house.
Yes.
Getting my point?
Correct.
This has happened. Like the typical, we say, the sons and daughters of Jamindars. So they, this is basically inertia of rest. And from the inertia of rest to inertia of motion. So it took almost 2 semesters. In the 3rd semester onward, now they have changed their, the inertia of rest to inertia of motion. But you apply it, but for the specific purpose. Make sure that the other party is highly motivated. Is it okay?
Yes, sir. Very true. So you have spent a remarkable amount of time in the education sector as well as the teaching, as well as the industry. So we would like to know your opinion regarding the skill set and the knowledge imparted by our current education system in the professional colleges. Has it been able to meet the industry requirements?
You know, you are referring to engineering education?
All types of professional education, sir.
Achha, okay. So the main problem is, you know, our industries, you know, particularly I am referring to the engineering education. Now the engineers are, you all know the definition of an engineer actually. Is basically a designer. Is it okay? So a designer of a product, designer of a system, or the designer of the process. Is it okay? Now the question is, because of many reasons in fact, I don't want to raise these issues. Now, what has happened, I am telling you, our education system has come from one particular route, the so-called the English education system. We are referring to English education system, so-called English education system. It's a very popular term. It has come from one particular route. And this industry, I am referring to that the industry which has come from, you know, what you can say, from the Industrial Revolution, okay, which had happened in 1770 in England. So that's the route, and other means, we all know in fact, that's a different route. Is it okay? So today, what you will find, there is, I'm telling you, the current status in fact. I, you know, say, we study all these, the textbooks, okay, we read all these textbooks on design, on manufacturing, on process design, product design, their theories and all. But when I get a particular, say, industrial training program, I join an industrial training program, you will find most of the industries, if you just visit their design department, the design is coming from their principal and located in a European country. And they don't have any right, and they don't know even that what is the design process. Even, you visit any factory over here, is it okay? How many, the processes, okay, we are aware of their design aspects. We don't know anything. Is it okay? So this was raised. You visit any factory, you will find that the companies, the processes, all the machines or equipment, there are many European countries' names are written, like Austria and all those, Luxembourg, Germany and all. Not a single, the process we have designed. So, before you send your students, is it okay? But still there are many persons, there are many, the production, the department persons, also the design department persons, the engineers, they want to share their knowledge with the students, and mostly what they actually want. That means when a student goes there, industrial training, have independent, unbiased mind. Is it okay? Whatever they have learned, given an opportunity, they want to share their viewpoints. So that's why you must, select those companies which are referred to as the learning organization. Learning organization. So this is, means it's not that, like you can send them to Tata. Okay, how many such organizations we have? Very few.
Yes.
Are getting my point? So that is a serious problem in fact. That is the problem. But then again, what is the alternative? Alternative is, that is the research lab and the research projects. So it is better that there are many the research institutions throughout our country. started in 50s and all through. Okay, so it's better. Our students also should be sent to the research institutes. That is my point. It is always better. Why don't you send them to ISRO? Why don't you send them to DRDO? Why don't you send to even, Indian Army, Indian Defense Organizations? Right. Okay. So there, the knowledge transfer will be perfect, I'm telling you. But if you send it to the multinationals, is it okay? Today, the influence of multinational companies are not that very high. Getting my point? It's not that level. What we used to find, But our, approach, when I joined GUC, the designs are we used to get from UK. Okay, GUC UK. But we are allowed to, the study their design. And we used to have many students in the industrial training program. Is it okay? So you select those companies which are referred to as the learning organizations. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Fine. Right.
Very well explained, sir. So there are two specific terms which are becoming very popular in the professional institutes these days. One is sustainability and the other is entrepreneurship. In your opinion, do you think the prioritization of these areas have actually led to any positive impact on the environment and the economy of the country?
Okay, so the two specific terms you have used, entrepreneurship and sustainability.
Yes, sir.
And whenever we say the entrepreneurship, so entrepreneurs, startup companies and all. Now, many of our students, in fact, they are becoming, the startups, even, they are, they are in the second year or third year and all. Okay. So actually, those are not referred to the startup. Now, the question is, a person, is creating a new company. So obviously, he is having in his mind some product design. He feels that, this is a unique product for which I have, or it's a model of a product, new model I created, and it has certain features, which is one of a kind. Is it okay? Because no design is matured, you all know in fact. So it is made for them. Like say, we say that for joining two papers, no design is matured. Joining two papers. So the one particular product you design, what is called pin. When was it introduced? In 1834. And for joining these two papers, is it okay? With a stapler. Same function, but when the stapler was introduced, we always use the stapler. It is 1954. For such a simple product, it takes 120 years. So, but still you do not know that whether the stapler is a 100% mature product.
Right.
Someone may come and he can propose a new one. So basically, the entrepreneur means, is it okay? It's, so he or she is supposed to have these ideas, and these ideas are created in his or her laboratory, right? Now, he or she wants to convert his ideas into a product. Is it okay? So now, in today's context, he has to, penetrate in the market, this new product. So what are the issues involved? We have created one cell over there. That is the, the lab to market. Now, many a time what happens, that the person can learn more about the design at the laboratory level, but not at the prototype level. Not at the prototype level. Forget about the product level. And many a time, they do not have any idea about the product development process. They think only the product design is enough. No idea about the process design, no idea about the manufacturing. You all know, no? These are all interrelated. Is it okay? So entrepreneurship actually should be promoted for product development purposes. That is point number one. Now, what are the issues he must know? Is it okay? First thing is, he must know what is a new product, whether this new, the product which he is going to offer. So it will be a project initially, so whether the project details are known. And in today's context, what has happened, two very important issues. One is the business risk, another is the technology risk. So you should be aware of, okay, technology risk, and there are many quantitative techniques you must collect data. Plus the whether it is a marketable or not, marketable plus manufacturable or not, and as soon as you say it's a manufacturable, that means at what cost you are designing the product. Usually what we have observed, in fact, we have interacted with them, the startups, this knowledge is missing. And as if you know that an entrepreneur is not a gambler, he's not a gambler. Is it okay? He must have the attitude of risk-taking attitude, not risk-averse. Are you getting my point? So how do you know that? So it is better, you will find that out of 50 students, okay, graduating, you will find all through the world, all through the time, you will find hardly one or two, they can become an entrepreneur. But anyway, he must not be a designer, he must, he may be very strong in analyzing, the business risk or the technology risk. That's why you find that now they have understood and they form a group. Is it okay? Always you'll find that they form a company, new company. Always you'll find 5 or 6 friends, they're forming a company. Because the problem is very, very complex. Now the sustainability part is, now many a time you propose a new product and the next year it vanishes. Because they don't know what is the sustainability. Are you getting my point? Even they don't know what is economic sustainability, and many a time, I'm telling you. So they must know what is economic sustainability. Another pressure is, even all these companies, even the micro, the medium, or say, the large scale industries, the small, they are facing these problems. What is that problem? That means they have to, create an environmental management system. And funny thing is, on environmental aspects, there is no theory. The case studies. So really they are under pressure. So it's startup, okay, definitely a student can, but he has to go through this, the slow process, but he cannot act like a hare. Right? Okay. He must act like a tortoise. And the sustainability means he must know ins and outs of the environment, the rules and regulations he has to follow. So, and the third thing is the social sustainability. It's very important, in fact. Others are watching you. Today they will give the order, but they have understood what is what. And tomorrow they may withdraw their hands. So this is one, very closely, and they must know. A startup company, the person who is heading a startup company, he must know what is sustainability in two sense of the terms. Is it okay?
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thanks a lot.
So, regarding ergonomics or human factors engineering,
Yes.
this is becoming an area of extreme interest for the industries. Do you think that this interest will lead to betterment for the individual and the organization?
Yeah, so, my area of specialization is human factors engineering, ergonomics. Part of one of the important area in industrial engineering. Okay. Now, it's a very relevant question. Today what has happened, one thing is that gone are those days when you create a product or create a system and you say, okay, you start working on the system. It's called what? The fit man to job. Entire capitalistic system of production. When it started with the industrial revolutions and all, okay, it started with this concept. The idea is that whatever you produce, whatever the system you create, okay, you can find someone from, say, the society, he will be able to do that job. Is it okay? So treat man to job. You first create the job and don't bother about what kind of man you require. You can get it anywhere. And the extreme cases, you know it very well, the slavery. Is it okay? You know it very well. And that's why the factory system, the Western factory system, in India there has not been slavery. Is it okay? And the system we have brought, this is the Western system, factory. So what you find, that it is started with the factory system, the slavery. Now what has happened, now the world has changed. Today, and what we used to do, that at the workers' level, absolutely at the workers' levels, so the workers, they used to come from the lowest strata of the society. This has been the case in the factory system. And they were illiterate. Okay. And some of these workers, they used to have only some skills, that's it, engage them. And whatever may be the quality of the machine, you don't bother. Today, what has happened? Today, now the other side. The system is fantastic. Is it okay? Like FMS or whatever, right? Or NC machines you have installed and all. Now the person is excellent. Person is also well trained. Okay, at least he is having some, the polytechnic, the degree in fact. Okay, and he can use the touch screens. Today, what has happened throughout the world? When you put the person on the job, you don't know what will be the interface. So today, hundreds of companies, they have worked on that, the interface design, and it's an ergonomics. So why interface design? Because what is most important is your body is on the job right now, whether your mind is on the job or not.
Right.
Getting my point? So that's why we say the job to man. So that is basically ergonomics. And what is most important is two important things you must know. You know it very well. If suppose 100 persons are working under you, even if you create a very good environment, you will find only 10 to 15 persons are self-motivated, intrinsically motivated.
Yeah.
Okay. Whereas, even if you other extremes, you don't bother about the working environment, extremely poor, you will find only this 10 to 20% people are intrinsically motivated. Now, if you apply the ergonomics, that means whatever the system you create, whatever product you create, this product or the system is made for the human use. The humans in true sense of the term, that means I will create a work environment where not only my body but also my mind. So the many persons are working on that in fact, and what is expected, the job satisfaction, and it's measurable one. If you are job dissatisfied, you start shouting. Okay, but when you are satisfied, you never tell anyone because that is taken as granted. So what are the features? There are beautiful studies on this one. Are you getting my point? So like say education system. Is it okay? The interface with this one, the teacher-students interface, it should be as best as possible. So what kind of systems you can create? Okay, so that I become intrinsically motivated. And when someone becomes intrinsically motivated, then he will be a part of the system where the system becomes sustainable production system. How can you become your system becomes sustainable without bothering about when you don't bother about whether the person concerned is it okay is intrinsically motivated or not. So this is the main issue I'm telling you. So it's a very important issue you have raised in fact.
Yes.
And many companies they are working
Looking into.
Sir, kindly conclude, sir. Just give your thanks and conclude.
I think this is the last question.
Yes.
It is
The
over.
last question.
It's over. No.
That's okay. It was a wonderful experience. Sir, our Mr. Tarun Bhattacharjee,
He's
he's the leader of our team,
Society.
he's the General Secretary.
Okay.
So he was